As you know, love has so many facets and stages that one way or another, every color can relate to it. And if you think that the cool tones are the exception to this rule, stay with me because precisely about those is that we are gonna talk in the episode of today. Although negative green connects to jealousy, immaturity, and envy, not to mention that it's perceived as anti-erotic and disgusting because of its presence in amphibians and reptiles that, although I find very beautiful, many people find disgusting.
They judge me before they even know me. That's why I'm better off alone.
In positive, the first connection that green has to love is that it represents the incipient love, meaning when the bond is barely beginning, when the person is starting to get more importance in your life, but there's still not a mature bond because it's still in developing stages. And on the other hand, green's connection to spring, and therefore to rebirth and to hope, also connects it to the revealed or recovered bonds after a breakup or after a rough patch. The relationship that green has to plants represents that in order for the bond to be fertile, it's important to cultivate love from patience and care, but also from giving freedom and space to grow. And lastly, the template temperature of green, in a love context, represents balance. For example, of not allowing the bond to become so distant that it becomes cold, but not go to the other extreme either of becoming so close that it becomes belgian. In negative, blue can be perceived as cold and be more connected to heartbreak given its connection to sadness and to loneliness, related to the image of swimming alone in the ocean. However, its relationship to the sky, and therefore to the divine, connects blue to the most sacred side of love that also relates a lot to its connection to friendship. Blue, by the way, connects to friendship because of its relationship to sympathy and sincere kindness that do not look for intensity, but loyalty, trustworthiness, and constant presence. And all of this connects blue to the long-lasting bonds, because when love derives from friendship, it does it on these foundations. On the one hand, due to honesty, and on the other hand, due to introspection. That makes you think and process your emotions before speaking or acting, and also listen to understand and not only to reply. Not to mention that the same introspective side of blue is what connects it to self-esteem and to self-care. With quoting my brother Javier Castani, is when the rest of love begins. In the negative side, pink can be perceived as cheesy and frivolous because of its presence in Valentine's merchandise and romantic novels. Not to mention it represents a very immature stage of love because due to its connection to girls and teenagers, is perceived as childish and naive. However, in the positive, pink connects to one of the softest and most romantic sides of love due to being perceived as tender and loving. Not to mention that being non-menacing and peaceful, it creates the feeling of being safe to connect with one another. And lastly, pink is also related to the erotic and intimate side of love due to its presence in lingerie, flowers, and female anatomy. And its connection to the naked skin at the same time as it is connected to innocence is also what connects this color to the first moments of intimacy when trust in this aspect is beginning to develop.
Sacrilegious.
And lastly, purple, that in negative can be connected to addictive bonds or to toxic relationships, and also to immaturity given its association to impracticality and to extravagant displays of affection. However, purple also connects to the most intimate and sacred side of love due to its connection to spirituality and the divine, and to the threshold between the body and the soul. Not to mention that purple's ambivalence that tends to swing from one extreme to another constantly and gradually not only connects soul and body, but also the apparent immaturity to introspection and wisdom. Not to mention that purple's connection to diplomacy, in the context of love, connects it to sensitivity and empathy to talk to the other with tact. And one last curious trivia is that purple is the predominant color of the chromatic core of magic, and if we think of the majority of stories that involve magic and fantasy, something that consistently sticks around is that love is considered the most powerful magic. If we, for example, think of Once Upon a Time, Rumpelstiltskin manages to bottle love by joining one hair of Snow White with one hair of the prince. However, he cannot do this just by having the hairs, but until they are in love. Follow me for more tips on how to express your love through your favorite colors. And if you like this video, don't forget to enlighten me with a thumbs up, subscribing to the channel, and clicking on the bell so YouTube lets you know when I talk about the warm accent colors. And if you want to help me color the comment wall, tell me if you would see yourself wearing one of the tones of the video to declare your love.